I understand that selection formally is some time away, but how many issues are you dealing with on this selection?
We've got a couple, but you know, like obviously Eddie won't play. Dave McKay won't play. Unfortunately, from a concussion viewpoint, he's had 2 hits in a couple of weeks, so we'll take a no-risk policy with him. So we've got a minimum of a couple of changes.
Is there a plan for the next 2 days in terms of testing guys out and being sure who can play?
Yeah, well, look, we had a session up in Sydney when we arrived today, so guys will run through that, and we'll make our, obviously we've got our announcement at 6 o'clock tonight, so we'll finalise the team and get ready to play.
How's Lockenberg's hamstring?
Yeah, look, he did a session yesterday. He's not going to play this weekend. The feeling was that he's really close, but young player coming off that, it wasn't felt like it was wise to push him on this weekend. So look, he should fully train next week and be available next week.
A lot of assumptions the last week that you played unfit guys. Is that an issue, or is it a rethink on your part?
Oh, look, we got some guys who we played who were less than 100%, to be honest. But are progressing, and it's a matter of how quickly they progress and what level they're at to be able to perform, to be honest. Having them be able to play is one thing, but perform's another thing. So yeah, that's something we've assessed during the week, and we'll make our selection based on what we think is best for those individuals, but also for the team.
How's Rory, Don?
Yeah, Rory's he's still a bit sore. So he's one which we've got to look at and what's best for Rory and best for the team to give him a chance to perform and play the level we know he's capable of, which clearly in the last couple of weeks as much as he's been really willing, clearly his body is not in the space it needs to be for him to be able to perform the way that we know Rory Sloane plays.
So where does the balance sit between trying to win in Sydney against one of the harder oppositions in the harder grounds to then Carlton Gold Coast coming up? How does the approach sit with you in terms of...
Well, we go into every game with intent to win it, and I'll be focusing pretty heavily on the guys who do play. The reality is a lot of guys who played last week played 2 weeks before against Richmond and had a really strong performance. So we know there's capability, but we've got to make sure we don't focus on all the negative things, whether it be injuries or other stuff, and we focus on what we control, and that's getting our 22 ready for Friday night and ready to play.
Is Walker in the same space in terms of his body?
He's turned the corner a little bit. Fair to say, he came back after not much pre-season, and he played really well in the first game against Richmond, and as is normal with guys who haven't done a lot of pre-season, they get a bit sore, and maybe his load and his build-up was a bit quicker than his body was ready to cut to cope with, and that's just meant that for him it's been trying to manage him. He has turned the corner a bit this week, trained really well the other day, so really confident with Tex and his availability this week.
Don, you said you inherited a resilient squad. How relevant, how much of that exists for tomorrow night?
Well, you always get tested in this game. I think last week was a poor performance from us, and we own that, and that's important. We now respond tomorrow night. It was poor in the area of our contested stuff. Really, that's where it started, and the numbers didn't lie in that respect. So, it's a good challenge for us tomorrow night to be able to respond.
You feel this is the one where you're probably in your time the most people have pinned you against the wall and waiting to see how you run?
Not really. Footy's footy, and it's an even competition. As I said, we had a really poor night last Friday night against Collingwood, and so it's an opportunity as well. We'll get some players come into the side. Clearly, there's a couple of changes I mentioned, and that's an opportunity for them to press their claims. And as we know in this game, sometimes an opportunity is all a young man needs, as Lockie Murphy showed earlier in the year, to come in and just play his role, bring some real energy about hhim, and cement a spot.
On the SCG, do you need to have a smaller side, given it's a very unique ground?
Well, it's a short ground and a wide ground, so there's small adjustments for the SCG, but overall we want to make sure we've got the right balance, which I think on reflection last week, we went in too tall, and so we'll look at that as well at selection.
Could you add a bit of pace to that forward line with like Rolly Knight and Jordan Bellucci in there?
Yeah, well, those guys are certainly available, and they're in the mix. Yeah.
How have you found Riley's form? Obviously, good game with Samp on the weekend.
Yeah, he was really good on the weekend. He was a real positive out of it, and he's likely to play, to be honest. He's the sort of guy that we've missed this season. It's a guy who can not only get some real good forward pressure on, but can give us some run around through the midfield as well.
And chance for Miles Pyke to maybe debut tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, look, he'll travel, and at this stage, he's in the mix as well.
Thanks, guys. Progress have you seen? Sorry, last one. How much progress have you seen from Rory this week compared to where he was at? How much improvement?
It's hard to put a number on it. We trained the other day. It's really going to be a question of whether we've seen enough improvement to push him on, and that's the conversation we've been having, and we'll make that decision later today.
Thanks, guys.
I haven't spoken about it yet. We'll talk about that when we get up there.
So it's a leadership group later?
Yeah, we'll have a conversation with them and see what they're comfortable with, and we'll go from there.